Emily and Ben had loved each other since their school days, a beautiful and innocent first love. As they graduated and began working, their love only grew deeper. It seemed as if Emily couldn't live without Ben. If she didn't see him for even a day, she felt like she couldn't accomplish anything. But now, a week had passed without Ben, and Emily was still alive, still working, and continuing with everything, despite his absence. Emily vividly remembered that day. Ben came early to pick her up, took her out to eat, and they wandered through all her favorite streets. Suddenly, they stopped at an old cafe, the place where they first met. Ben gently kissed Emily's soft hair and, with a warm, familiar voice, said, "I'll never love anyone but you, Emily. Not a single moment passes when I don't love you." Ben looked straight into Emily's eyes and said, "I'm getting married." Emily laughed, then giggled. "Go ahead, get married. I'll even attend your wedding, silly. Why are you in such a hurry?" She was about to tease Ben more, but something in his serious expression stopped her. She sensed that something was wrong. "My family's company is about to go bankrupt, Emily." Before she could say anything, Ben continued, "I'll be marrying Cheryl. Her family is wealthy, and she's the only one who can save my family's company right now. I don't love her, but I can't just think of my own happiness." Before Ben could finish his sentence, Emily, with tears streaming down her face, sighed, "We can find a way. I'll help you. You can't do this to me, Ben." But he responded, "This company is my father's life's work. I can't let it go under. My father would be devastated. Hundreds of workers would lose their jobs. Don't you understand?" Emily, feeling a mixture of betrayal and heartbreak, slapped Ben hard across the face. He stood there silently, looking at her for a long time, then said, "Forget about me. 7 years together is enough. Let's end it all. Unless you have the money. A lot of money." He walked away, leaving Emily there, crying in pain. Emily threw herself into work to forget Ben, working tirelessly. She couldn't bear to be idle. If she stopped, she'd remember him. Her pride wouldn't allow her to dwell on it. Since their breakup, Ben hadn't contacted her. She understood him better than anyone else, knew that he was serious and resolute. The understanding only deepened her heartache and her fear. One day, she saw Ben standing at the gate of her lodging. Hadn't they broken up? Wasn't he committed to his duty? Why was he here? They stood, looking at each other for a long time, unable to run to one another. Tears rolled down Emily's cheeks. She didn't want him to see her cry, but she couldn't control her emotions. As she turned to walk away, Ben quickly ran and embraced her from behind, holding her tightly as if it were the last time. He held her, turning her to face him.
His hands held her tear-streaked cheeks, and he kissed her, deeper and more passionately than ever before. In that moment, Emily's rationality returned, and she pushed him away. "What are we doing? What are you doing, Ben? You're getting engaged tomorrow. Your wedding is in a month." Ben responded, "My father's company has been saved, but I'm dying inside. Can't you understand, Emily?" Emily pushed Ben away and said firmly, "Go. Don't do this to me anymore. Stop tormenting me." She ran back to her room, collapsing to the floor, sobbing like a child. The day of Ben's wedding arrived. Many of their mutual friends attended, offering congratulations to Ben. While feeling compassion for Emily, she wandered through the familiar cafe alone, with memories of Ben filling her mind. At that moment, she realized she had to let go of those memories and move forward. That night, it poured rain. Emily sat by her window, watching each drop fall, missing Ben more than ever. Suddenly, there was a knock on her door. She opened it to see Ben, soaked from the rain. "If you don't want me here, I'll leave," he said, his voice trembling with emotion. But she couldn't turn him away. She missed him madly, and he was soaked. Ben embraced her tightly, and they melted into each other. After 7 years of restraint, they finally let go, no longer fighting the feelings. As she lay in his arms, Emily whispered painfully, "We're having an affair. You're making me the other woman, Ben." Holding her tightly, Ben whispered back, "I know, I understand, but I don't want to care about anything else. I love you." Emily held on to him, tears streaming, afraid of the morning when he would leave her again. Sometimes, Emily felt terrible, recognizing that she was the other woman disrupting someone's marriage. But she loved Ben, had loved him wholeheartedly through her youth. If not for Ben's family business facing bankruptcy, they would have been together officially. The thought haunted her constantly, leaving her anxious and restless. One day, Emily received a message from Cheryl, Ben's wife, asking to meet. As the workday ended, Emily arrived at the agreed location, intentionally late to observe Cheryl from a distance. Taking a deep breath, she braced herself for the hurtful words she expected from Cheryl. Cheryl looked her over, took a few moments, and finally spoke. "Emily, you don't know me, but I know you well. We're the same age. Before I married Ben, I knew all about your relationship. I even appreciated your respect in letting our wedding happen peacefully. But Ben is a married man now. You're smart, Emily. Please, don't disturb him anymore." Emily remained silent, stunned by Cheryl's calmness and courtesy. She hadn't expected Cheryl to face her so poised. After a long sip of water, she asked, "You know Ben doesn't love you. Why hold on?" Cheryl smiled faintly, looking directly at her, and replied, "But I love him. I love him just as much as you do."
I'm more suited for Ben, and we could be happy together, if not for you. She raised her voice slightly. We shouldn't waste each other's time, Cheryl continued, standing up and leaving a crisp $100 bill under her glass. Emily stared at it, thinking, 2 glasses of juice for $100. Cheryl wanted to remind Emily of her wealth, the wealth that had saved Ben's family. Emily sat there, unable to forget Cheryl's words and the refined, elegant way she spoke. Though a pang of envy arose, Emily comforted herself, remembering that Ben loved her, a love Cheryl could never have. However, Cheryl was legally Ben's wife. Today, Cheryl had asserted her position as Ben's lawful spouse, leaving Emily burdened by guilt and self-reproach for being the woman caught between their marriage. Lost in thought, Emily was startled by a message from Ben saying he couldn't visit that evening. Later, Ben arrived unexpectedly with a bouquet of vibrant red roses, his face beaming. "Cheryl's off to New York for a week. How about a few days together in Hawaii to unwind?" he asked, embracing her. Emily, however, remained silent, Cheryl's words echoing in her mind. She looked up and said, "Cheryl visited me today." Ben's surprise was evident. "What did she say?" "She asked me not to see you again," Emily replied quietly, holding back tears. "I love you, Ben, but I can't continue like this. You've chosen to sacrifice your happiness for your family and those employees. I let my feelings cloud my judgment, but I can't keep making this mistake. Go back to your wife, Ben." Her voice was steady yet final, and though it pained him, Ben knew she was right. Emily could no longer bear the burden for him. Returning home late, Ben found Cheryl waiting. She softly told him she was 3 months pregnant, offering to end the pregnancy if he wasn't truly committed. "I feel alone, Ben. I don't want our child born without a father," she said. He assured her, asking her to keep the baby, while he would fulfill his role as husband and father. Yet that night, he found himself smoking on the balcony, lost in thought. True to her word, Emily cut ties with Ben, though the pain weighed heavily on her. Driving down familiar streets, memories flooded back, yet she willed herself to escape them. Suddenly, 2 men knocked her off her motorbike, hurling insults about taking someone else's husband. Bruised and unable to walk, Emily was taken to the hospital. Her best friend, Texas, came after her message and, angry about Emily's treatment, called Ben. Within minutes, Ben was by Emily's side, fear and worry etched on his face. The next morning, Cheryl confronted him, furious that he spent the night with Emily. Exasperated, Ben warned her to leave Emily alone, his tone cold and final. Using her family's influence, Cheryl saw to it that Emily's job was transferred far south. Amid rumors about her relationship with Ben, packing her belongings, Emily decided to leave for good, planning to bring her mother with her. A message from Cheryl arrived, containing a sonogram of her pregnancy. Gazing at the image, Emily's childhood pain of growing up without a father overwhelmed her, strengthening her resolve to leave. She wouldn't see Ben before departing, fearing she might falter. Tears flowed as she thought of him. Yet she knew she had to go. Just before her flight, she left a farewell letter with Texas to give to Ben. In the letter, she wrote, "These 7 years have been beautiful. We'll both be hurt, but I believe we're strong enough to move forward. Cheryl deserves her happiness, and their child deserves both parents. I can't forgive her actions, but as a woman, I empathize with her desire to protect her family. We'll remember each other differently now. Don't come looking for me. I'll find happiness when you do too. Goodbye, Ben."